Iolo, talk us through, we heard about some of the main arrests from Ali Mustafa, but actually there have been in total thousands upon thousands of people arrested.
6,000 people, as far as we know so far, have been detained, and they range from soldiers, high-ranking officers, police officers here in Ankara, judicial members, judges, and between everybody, so far, we're talking about 6,000 people. Now, people in the cabinet, which are meeting behind me in the Prime Minister's residence here in Ankara, are saying that actually that figure will go up. That number will be surpassed sometime during the next few days. Now, that gives another problem to the authorities, quite frankly, because they have to deal with 6,000 people. And while this cabinet meeting, which is about to start, gets underway, one of the things they will be discussing is actually which of these 6,000 will stand trial or will have a hearing in front of a military court, and who will appear in front of a civil court. And that is important because within the military, with so many of the high-ranking officers now in detention or being arrested, then there is a gap, there is a void that needs to be filled, and there is a process that needs to be followed legally. So they will have to try and understand and decide who appears in front of the military court, who is in charge of those military courts, and then, of course, process everybody else in front of the civilian courts.
Now, there's also been talk mentioned by both the Prime Minister and the President about reinstating the death penalty. How realistic is it, given that Turkey hasn't had a death penalty in so many years, that we could actually see a return of that?
Well, I'd love to be inside those gates. I'd love to be inside the room to hear whether indeed they do discuss the death penalty. Because if they do, if this cabinet meeting discusses it officially, then that is a very significant change from, as you say, decades of recent Turkish history. And really, in most democratic countries, the death penalty is no longer in force for all kinds of reasons. It's going to be significant if they are discussing it, and we are getting that feeling from the government, from the Prime Minister, from the President, when they have addressed large crowds here in Ankara last night, President Erdogan in front of crowds in Istanbul in the last few days, and every time these politicians have said, "We hear you," especially when there have been chants of we need the death penalty from the crowds, whether they are supporters of the government or whether indeed they are people who are happy that this attempted coup failed. Now, it is going to be a discussion point, that's for sure. We don't know yet if it's being discussed officially by the government, in what way it's being discussed officially. If they are discussing it, how do they bring it back, and who could, after a trial, be liable to a death sentence as opposed to a lengthy prison sentence.
Okay.